Question from Tama Hewitt inside of our NASM Personal Trainer Facebook group. Hello there. I've heard that NASM cycles through 4 to 5 different types of exams, so I'm curious as to the various experiences that you guys have had. This is a really important question and one that I get often, and inside this video I'm going to tell you guys while Tama is wrong. Tama, don't worry, we love you, but I'm going to tell you why she's wrong. There's only one type of exam, and I'm also going to give you exactly what to expect when you take your NASM-CPT. My name is Coach Joe Drake. I'm the CEO and the founder of the Axiom Fitness Academy. We've helped well over 600 students go through our programs and get NASM certified, not to mention the thousands of you guys out there who we've helped with all of our content for free over the last 10 years. And I say that because there's a lot of information out there on the NASM-CPT. And with that being said, there's a lot of misinformation out there. People are inside of different Facebook groups, right? We've got an amazing NASM Facebook group with a lot of great content constantly going out. And Tama asked a really great question, but she's probably a part of 3 or 4 other groups where they have heard something from somebody. Maybe something from someone who had their own experience with the exam. Maybe they've taken the exam once. Guys, I'm going to tell you that's very different than an NASM Partner Academy with someone like myself who I've taken the exam well over 8 times just so I know how things go. And I get to have in-depth internal conversations with the NASM team about how the exam works. So I just want to give that to you guys. I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you're probably earlier on in the process and you might be a little bit anxious about what to expect. And so hopefully this video is going to take it down a notch so you know exactly how the exam works from a logistical standpoint so you can better associate and appropriate your time when it comes to studying. First off, there are not different types of exams. There is one exam. And whether you're taking the accredited or the non-accredited version, right, the proctored or non-proctored, things will be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk more about the proctored exam because the proctored accredited process requires a certain type of testing. So in general, to simplify it, NASM does not come up with their own exams. Part of this accreditation process, and NASM even goes a little bit further than some organizations in the accreditation, they send off their questions to have these exams created, right? This may have to do why some of the questions are tricky, but the important part of this is knowing, guys, no matter who you are, every one of you watching this video, right, I'm going to give you, I know you guys love my artwork here on the YouTube channel. You're a very simple visual. This is your exam. Every single one of you will have a different exam. So truthfully, if we had to answer Tama's question appropriately, there are infinite different types of exams. Or better yet, there's infinite versions of the exam, but there's one type. Because every one of you will have the same percentages. That we know. They have to. NASM has to give you this percentage, and it's very specific. So you guys know that the NASM material is broken down into 6 different sections. Section 1 is chapters 1 and 2. Section 2 is chapters 3 and 4. Section 3 is where most of you guys crap your pants because all the science hits you, right? You're freaking out. Chapter 5, chapter 7, that's all of chapters 5 through 10. Then we get into section 4. This is the assessments, right? Chapters 11 and 12. Then you guys get onto section 5, which covers a big chunk of the exam. You see 24% from chapters 13 to about chapters 19. And then you get to section 6, which covers more of the programming, the end of the book. So I like to say that no matter who you are, no matter where you are in the world, the percentage, the number of questions you get from each section will be the same. It has to be. That's the only way that it qualifies for this proctored version. So what I mean by that is no matter who you are, you're going to get 10 questions that come from chapters 1 and 2. All right? Boom. 10 of those questions are going to plug down into your exam. Now the easiest way to think about this, and this is why people have different experiences with the exam, is it's like each one of these is like the Powerball, right? You've got 1,000 questions that are rolling around in that Powerball wheel, and when you come to take your exam, 10 of these little random balls pop out. We don't know which 10 they're going to be, right? You may have a couple more questions on a certain topic than somebody else, and that's just randomness. That's going to happen. And the reason they do that is they try to keep it even, that you are fully prepared for the section and the material. So no matter what, you're going to get 10 questions from section 1. You're going to get 15 questions from section 2. You're going to get 15 questions from section 3. You're going to get 16 from section 4. And then here's the important part for you guys too, and understand how the exam works so you spend time on the right stuff. You're going to get a total of 44 of your questions from the last 2 sections. So if you were wondering at this stage, Whether you guys are at the beginning and you're just trying to figure out what to expect in the exam, or maybe you're taking the exam soon, I'd pay a lot of attention there because you're gonna get a lot of questions there. And I'll give you guys an example of comments that we get even from inside of our group, that someone gets done and they're like, Joe, you know what? I actually had a lot of questions on nutrition. And here's the interesting thing about the way people recall their experiences is they might have had 3 questions on nutrition, but they just stuck out in their head. Because again, no matter who you are, you're only gonna get 15 questions from section 3. Funny enough, a lot of people freak out about section 3, but that's 15 questions spread out over a number of chapters. You're gonna get the same number of questions from the psychology and behavioral change. So as you look at it, guys, and this may be a little bit of a simplification of how the exam works, but no matter who you are, no matter where you are, there's one version of the exam, and it's your version, right? Your version. You will get a certain number of questions from each of these areas that you're graded upon. And this is the biggest reason why you can't just memorize the entire book. It's not gonna happen, never. What you gotta do, you gotta know the main concepts inside of each one of those. So hopefully, Tamo, hopefully that's helpful for you to understand that there are not different versions. There's not like one version that has a little bit more assessment and one version that has a little bit more of this. They all have the same distribution of questions, but there's an element of randomness and luck that also comes into play with what questions you get. So since we're on the topic of the exam, I also just wanted to address 3 other very common questions kind of along the same thread. So, all right, cool. We've established, Joe says, there's not different versions of the exam, just different experiences, same percentage of questions. Here's a couple of other questions that often come up, and you might have, and I wanna make sure that I answer for you. So one of those is, hey Joe, out of those 120 questions, the 100 that I'm graded on, are there any practical? Are there any that like I have to get up and demonstrate something? Or are there any where there's like pictures and I have to identify a muscle? And the answer is no. The answer is no. And so I say there's no practical questions in the sense that you have to practically do something. There's no videos you have to watch. There's no pictures. It's gonna be multiple choice, A, B, C, and D. You choose the answer. So the good part is the answer is there. Now, the challenging part is there will be practical questions. There will be questions you have to problem solve. And so your ability to like think through things in your head in the real world, it will be helpful, but there will not be a practical element to the exam where you're being graded on how you coach and cue a squat. I would love if there was, but it's not the way certification works. So hopefully that de-stresses some of you guys. It's A, B, C, or D. The answer is gonna be there. You just gotta recognize it or recognize the most appropriate answer. The next one is, Joe, there's some calculations, especially with like the Carbonin formula and heart rate and programming. Am I gonna be able to utilize a calculator? Am I gonna have to perform calculations? You will not have a calculator, and I promise you there will not be many calculations on the exam. If there are, there's gonna be a few, and they're expecting you to be able to guesstimate in your head. Chances are, if you come across one of these guys, there's gonna be 2 answers, which mathematically are nowhere close, and then there's 2 that are kind of close. So don't stress about it. It's not gonna make or break your exam, so don't spend too much time on it. And then the last one too is, Joe, once I'm done, will I know what questions I got wrong? And I always laugh a little bit at this one because I already know my type A people out there who are like, I just want to know the exact ones I got wrong so I can go back and learn it. And although I love that, that's so sweet. I love that you want to get better. The answer is no. You're not going to know. You will get your percentage passing score, or better yet, right away, you're going to know whether you failed or not. Now, you can reach out to NASM, and especially if you failed the first time, which I hope is not you, but if it happens, don't worry, you're not alone. You can reach out and get some insight, and they'll give you some perspective on sections that you struggled with, but you are not going to know the questions you got right or wrong, because that would be revealing too much about the exam. So, and you guys have probably already seen this, to kind of land this plane and bring it back home. The important piece for you is no matter what, those questions on the other side, you're going to have 120. 100 of them you'll be scored on. 20 of them, they're testing new questions, right? They're trying to fill up the Powerball wheels with new questions. And so you might come across ones that you're like, this question really sucks. And you just got to answer it. It might not even be graded, but you won't know. So you're going to have those 100 that you're graded on, 120 that you'll take in your time period. And here's the important piece, guys. You just got to get 70%. C's get degrees, or in this case, a certification. So as long as we get you above that, you're going to be fine, and you're going to get certified and get onto training clients. And that's exactly what we talk about taking those practice exams and trying to score above that. So hopefully this video was helpful for you in just trying to clarify any rumors that are out there. There's no different types of exams. There's just different questions that come up for each one of you. And if you're in the stage where you're now saying like, okay, I kind of know what to expect and now I need to study, make sure you guys check out some of the other videos here on our channel, especially the one that's gonna follow where I break down everything, over an hour and a half video study guide of exactly what to know.